What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the third live stream on the Sports Coverage Podcast when we've been doing our lives this whole week. I hope you've been enjoying them. My name is Andrew, and I am alongside my co-host for tonight, Sammy, and tonight is going to be all MLB talk because, we're in season, and lately it hasn't been getting enough love here on the podcast channel, so we're going to be talking all about it tonight. But thank you, Sammy, for joining us tonight. Yeah, so we might as well jump right into it. You can see from the title, the Yankees. As of last night, they are now tied for the AL East lead. They pretty much blew it. They were up by many, many games, and it seems like they're running away with the division at that point. But now it's tied. I think they've lost something like 14 of 19 games or something like that, which is just obviously not great. But yeah, just what are your overall thoughts, and we'll dive more into what you're thinking about the Yankees. Oh yeah, of course. But our pitching has been amazing. Um, they're saying we can't hear Sammy again, so now looks like we're having this kind of similar issue a couple nights in a row. Um, let's see what I can do here. A common issue that we're having. Maybe try it again, Sammy. Oh yeah, 100%. The slump, um, the pitching last night, especially with Will Warren, kind of coming in and not necessarily having the greatest start. He's still young, um, but yeah, it was just kind of a rough outing there. The Yankees did start to come back, and they showed life for the first time in what seemed like a long time. Aaron Judge kind of getting back into his rhythm, but that was just an awful, awful, awful start to the game. Without that, that was one of our best offensively productive games of the last couple of series, especially. So hopefully. We could kind of keep that going into tonight as the game is just getting started in Toronto once again tonight. But yeah, pitching has been generally pretty good, but still just getting into the rhythm with some of the younger guys. I'm just going to double check that your. Yeah, they're still saying that they cannot hear you. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Um, hmm. Let's see what we could do here. Sammy, maybe just switch your mic to your AirPods for now and see if that helps. Yeah. Oh wow, mic quality is a lot worse. I don't know. I don't know if they can hear you now. Um, Not 100% sure what is going on there. But I guess last night it kind of got figured out. Yeah, your audio is up all the way. Hmm. All right. Well, let's see if uh, that fixes it. But I'll keep talking for now while we wait for someone to confirm. if that's the case. But yeah, I mean, now the Yankees are saying that they're going to be looking to shop a third baseman at the deadline because Jazz Chisholm seems like he played that role of third base for the last couple of series. He's been doing okay defensively. His offense, of course, is heated up a lot. But I just think that it's been definitely rough coming for him so far. He's not a third baseman. He's a second baseman. We have DJ LeMahieu back who could play third or second, but he's getting older. His production's not quite the same, so we can't trust him to be an everyday third baseman. So shopping a third baseman, I think, is the correct answer. And, they were saying maybe Nolan Arenado would be an option prior to the season, and I think that was good prior to the season, but now Nolan Arenado has not had the best first half now, and we're seeing that the Yankees may not ultimately be looking for him as a main option. Alex Bregman with the Red Sox. Now, I don't think that a Red Sox trade between the Yankees and Red Sox would happen at a stage like this. Alex Bregman is certainly an option. Eugenio Suarez, especially. Nolan Arenado, like you said, Ramon Urias, Yohan Moncada. I think Yohan Moncada right now, though, is the one that the Yankees are really going to be looking for. I mean, I would say that Jazz's, like I said, his production has gotten a lot better recently. However, I do think you're right where that pop would be helpful, especially where the Yankees just aren't putting up a good amount of runs right now. They're saying they still can't hear him. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. I mean, I think we had this issue last night, which sucks. I don't really know why exactly that's happening. Try that. Try it again.
Talk again?
Sammy?
Yeah?
Oh, now I can't hear you.
You can't?
Say it again.
Should I plug my...
Yeah. Oh, okay, so we could hear you, and now it's gone. So I think I know how we can fix this real quick. We heard him when you couldn't hear him. Very interesting. That's not very helpful. Okay, let me see. Okay, so I'm going to fix that real quick. Pause for a moment while we just get this going. What's up, Connor is in the chat right now. We're just working through some technical difficulties right now. We'll get this all set up for you in a moment. Let's see what we could do here. pause for 1 second while I get this going. We'll be right back. All right. Hopefully, Sammy, can you say something real quick?
Hello?
Okay, so you guys should now hear him, and I cannot hear him again. So, let me try one more thing. Huh. One more thing. Hold on. Okay, can you hear me now? All right, perfect. So we are all set. Hopefully, if someone could just give confirmation that you can hear Sammy out there, I think we should have it all fixed. And yeah, so let's kind of backtrack our conversation a little bit and let's talk about the New York Yankees. Like we said yesterday, they were a little rough and going with Will Warren, obviously a young pitcher on the mound. It wasn't a great start for them at all, going down 7-0 and then losing the game 11-9. But they did make that effort to start coming back. So what do you think about this Yankees offense as they try to start heating up after the skid that's now got them tied for first place in the division? Yeah, certainly. I was very, very, very happy with what I saw. Of course, pitching in the end, especially the bullpen, I would say would be the main thing, is what let us down there once again. So I am not happy at all with what I saw. Devin Williams has been struggling all season since we made the decision to trade for him, and he came and played. And, of course, the beginning of the season, they started to heat up a bit, and now he has just looked pretty bad again. And even Luke Weaver, now that he's back from injury, hasn't looked great as well. So, if we could keep that bullpen kind of going, that would certainly be a huge help for the Yankees. Also, like we were going to talk about earlier, the third baseman situation. And Jeff Passan and John Heyman said that the Yankees will be shopping a third baseman at the deadline. So what type of player could that look like, do you think, Sammy? Oh, yeah, certainly. I think that, um, Jazz's pop hasn't been terrible, especially coming back from injury. But I think Jazz will be more comfortable at a second base position right now. Even though DJ LeMahieu is perfectly capable of playing third base, he is aging and his production is just not quite the same as it has been in the past, just because he's had a lot of injuries and yeah. So, um, let's talk about the Padres a little bit. And they said that they will be shopping a catcher because Martin Maldonado and Elias Diaz, who have been the two guys that have kind of been tandeming between them, are struggling, certainly. And there's guys like Christian Vasquez, Sean Murphy, among others, that they might be looking at to acquire at the deadline. What do you think, Sammy? Oh, certainly. And the Padres are always looking to make a postseason push, especially just where their spending has been the last couple of seasons. I think adding a more veteran presence like Sean Murphy would potentially be huge for them, more so than with Christian Vasquez. So I think that really, in the long run, should be who they should target um, in this case. Oh yeah, definitely. Sean Murphy is in theory the better player than Christian Vasquez. It just depends how much the Braves are going to be looking to get in return for a player as good as that, really. Some other players that might be going at the deadline. I mentioned Alex Bregman earlier with the third base situation. Jarren Duran, the Red Sox. The Red Sox are very interesting because it seemed like they were making a pretty strong push so far this season, but then they sold Devers, obviously. And so now maybe Bregman or someone like Jarren Duran might be on the move. Sandy Alcantara, every year it seems like the Marlins are wanting to trade him because he's really the last guy left from that really was a star at some point. Of course, he won the Cy Young Award a couple of years ago. So it would be very, very nice to kind of get him out of Miami and maybe to a better team. I mean, Cubs are looking for pitching. Houston's looking for pitching. Boston's looking for pitching. So, yeah, those might be some good options there. Freddie Peralta as well with the Milwaukee Brewers. Someone that might be looking to go as well. Third base. I think this is probably one of the more likely ones. Eugenio Suarez from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's turning 34 right before the deadline, which obviously isn't great for him because he's still going to be aging, and we'll kind of see how that will evolve. But he's still a pretty good defender out there, and yeah, I think Eugenio Suarez would be a great choice for a team looking for a third baseman to go after, such as potentially the Yankees. So that might be something good to look at. I think the Diamondbacks are going to end up selling at the deadline. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Josh Naylor, all options there that we might see leave. As well, of course, the Baltimore Orioles, Felix Bautista, Cedric Mullins, who, by the way, has been their best player. And I think that trading away Cedric Mullins would really be the end of an era that was kind of those really first depressing years that the Baltimore Orioles had from, 2015 to about 2 years ago, I would say. Yeah. Anyone else specifically that you think is going to end up leaving their teams at the deadline, Sammy? Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, again, another team like that where it's one real star left on that team, the White Sox, Luis Robert. I'm sure that he is always looking to get out of there as well. So, I mean, I think that would certainly be a push that the White Sox have been trying to make for the last couple of years. The stock has fallen. I would have tried to get rid of Robert a couple of years ago when he was kind of at his peak. But yeah, I just think that it's going to be kind of interesting trying to get him out of Chicago. I think Arenado kind of just isn't having the season people expected him to. I'll pull up his exact stats, but I know for sure that he's just not. Yeah, 247, 10 home runs. It's not terrible, but it's certainly not the season that a team that might have been looking to trade for him prior to the season will be looking at, and I would think that his stock has fallen pretty significantly there then. Um, yeah, I mean, again, it's just kind of whether the Orioles kind of want to blow it all up again, which it seems like that's going to be the case either way, just based off of how they've been playing recently. So yeah, I mean that was certainly it was an interesting experiment that the Orioles then had there for a couple years, and clearly it didn't work out to its full potential. But some players who did work out to their full potential, especially this season, we're going to be talking about the MLB All-Star Game and what's going on there. So why don't you take us through some of the American League starters? Yeah, you should be good.
Played out of his mind. He has the second highest batting average currently in the major leagues, and he even beat out Bobby Witt for that shortstop. I think that's a really big achievement for Jacob Wilson.
Yeah, I mean Jacob Wilson has been one of the um, top young players so far this year. That's huge, especially like you said, Bobby Witt. I mean, he has been the star the last couple of seasons. Apparently, we are still getting problems with your audio. I don't really know what is going on. You know what? Try to reconnect your old mic.
Okay. Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yeah. Make sure it's just the right mic connected. So it should be good. It sounds different than it did earlier, but I think it should be okay. So yeah, let's keep it going then with some of the other All-Star selections. I'll take you through the National League. So let's start at catcher. Will Smith, of course, he's been the top catcher for the past couple of seasons in MLB. The Dodgers are certainly lucky to have him with their entire pitching staff that's still out there. Shohei Ohtani at DH, that's not a surprise at all. Every single year, it seems like he is going to be on this roster until kind of the end. Freddie Freeman as your first baseman. That's a clean sweep for the Dodgers across catcher, DH, and first base. Again, another player who is going to be pretty much, it seems like, an all-star until he retires. He is still aging, but he is still performing at his peak, of course, as we saw in the World Series last year, but I don't really want to go back to that. Ketel Marte at second base. He has been having an excellent season with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Manny Machado at third base, another one of those veteran presences that is still finding his way onto these all-star rosters. Francisco Lindor at shortstop for the New York Mets. Young star outfielder Pete Crow Armstrong is the first outfield selection for the National League. Of course, his speed, he's pretty much a five-tool player, so we'd love to see it from him. Kyle Tucker, his teammate, is going to be right next to him, who the Cubs acquired in the offseason this year. And lastly, Ronald Acuna Jr., who made his debut pretty much a couple weeks into the season. He is getting a chance to start the All-Star game once again. So pretty interesting picks there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we definitely have differences, with the fan voting. There's some questionable decisions that are made that goes into effect with the All-Star game selection, such as Ronald Acuna, because he missed like the first 3-4 weeks of the season, and now he's starting in the All-Star game, which a lot of people are surprised at. But when he's been on the field, they've really performed, and I think the MLB has really gotten the All-Star team selections correct.
Yeah. Shane's saying that he could hear you now, so that is excellent then.
That's good.
I want to go back to the American League real quick, though. Gleyber Torres, who the Yankees elected not to re-sign this offseason, is getting his shot to make a start there. And the Tigers, they have 3 starters out there. I'm so also excited that Javier Baez is getting his chance once again. I love Javi Baez. I think that he is someone who deserves to be as good as he was with the Chicago Cubs all those years back. So, yeah, I'm just really excited to see both of those guys repping the American League.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see, especially for a Tigers team that made the wild card last year. Now they've taken a really big jump and now are leading their division and have the best record in baseball. And to have 3 All-Star starters in one season is really impressive. So big congrats to the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah. Also, for the All-Star Weekend, the Home Run Derby will already feature Cal Raleigh, James Wood, and Ronald Acuna Jr., with 5 more spots to be named ahead of them. But for the Home Run Derby, players will be wearing the AL and NL uniforms that were released, and all of the National League will be wearing Hank Aaron's number, and all of the American League will be wearing Babe Ruth's number in each of their honors. And apparently that was a decision that was suggested by CC Sabathia, who will make his way into the Hall of Fame in just a month now, or less than a month now. So that's pretty cool. And also, the other big news about the All-Star Weekend is each player will be wearing their own team's jerseys once again. So we have the classic All-Star games back. I'm really excited to see Judge getting to rep the pinstripes down there in Atlanta this year, because I think that is a lot cooler than everyone wearing these same boring jerseys that aren't particularly good every year.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. With the old All-Star game jerseys that they had, it didn't really give the viewer, someone that was watching, the same vibe as when they had like the pinstripes, like you said, for the Yankees, or their real MLB worn jerseys. So I think this is going to be a big upgrade and a big better viewing experience for the All-Star game this year.
Certainly. So moving on with some of the other news out of this weekend, you wanted to put this one in. Halfway through Harper's 13-year contract with the Phillies, has he delivered on what he promised in those contract negotiations so far? What do you think, Sammy?
I think he's exceeded these expectations perfectly. Before he came to the Phillies had an 11-year drought of making the postseason, and 2 years into his contract, he brought them to the World Series. I think that upgrade is dramatically great, and I think also he's had another MVP here with the Phillies. We are contenders every year now compared to being not even making the playoffs years prior, and I think at this rate he'll definitely be retired, a retired jersey as a Philly, and I think he's really up that Hall of Fame and career stature within the MLB.
Yeah, certainly. I think that he has had an excellent run there. I still wish that the Yankees made that offer to him way back when, because of course we all know that they never ended up extending that. So it's kind of upsetting, but maybe one day, maybe before he retires, we'll get to see him play in New York. What else do we got in MLB news? Luis Ortiz, who is a pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, is now facing a suspension for sports betting on his own game and on the own games that he's pitching, because according to Jeff Passan, the MLB flagged 2 pitches that were sliders, and they were thrown way outside, like almost on purpose outside, and they were kind of not like the other pitches that he has thrown this season. So they flagged that, and they think that might be part of multiple bets that were placed, I believe, in New Jersey, New York, and Ohio. Sammy, I mean, this is a very interesting situation. What do you think is going to happen?
This is really interesting because I don't know about you, but the first time I saw these pitches, I was like, oh, maybe it was just like a bad pitch, first pitch jitters. But then it happened again, and I looked back at it. There's definitely convincing evidence that this is definitely he's been betting and gambling. And I think this would be a pretty big loss for the Guardians. He's been around their fourth, fifth starter this year, and they're around 500. They're sort of in the middle of, do we want to make the playoffs? Do we not want to make the playoffs? And I think losing him, especially for the rest of the season, would be a loss as chemistry would go down. And I just think uh, the rest of his teammates wouldn't really respect Luis Ortiz anymore.
Well, I don't know if the Guardians would even bring him back after that, because that's just certainly
Yeah.
a rough situation to be in. I am not. I thought kind of the MLB would have moved past this by this point. But clearly, we are still dealing with this now, which is pretty upsetting. We'll see what ends up happening. I don't know. It was AI that flagged it, so maybe there was an issue there. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes because this is definitely an interesting topic.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've okay, and I think we've seen gambling allegations such as in other sports. Even recently, Malik Beasley of the Detroit Pistons has gotten flagged for gambling, and I think this thing's becoming a bigger occurrence than we used to be seeing, especially with more gambling sites being allowed in more states. And I think these players are going to have to stop doing this because keeping this up is going to just cause bigger problems in all these major sports.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's definitely an issue that they've run into, and yeah, hopefully, people will stop being stupid and doing this while they are playing sports games professionally. So Lastly, some big news last night. History made. Clayton Kershaw reaches 3,000 strikeouts and is the 20th player to do so in baseball history. So amazing news for him. Congratulations to him. And yeah, I mean, just what a player.
I mean, if you look at Clayton Kershaw at this rate, you could put him in the conversation for a top 10 pitcher of all time because he's been with one franchise his entire career. His career started in 2008, and he's been with the Dodgers for 17 years. That's almost absurd to hear nowadays with all these teams or all these players wanting more money from different cities and different organizations. So I think it's really showing loyalty for Clayton Kershaw, just like Kobe did with the Lakers, staying with one team his entire career. I think this really shows loyalty towards the organization. And players that do this, I think, should really earn the respect they deserve. And I think Clayton Kershaw, even with his accolades, I think he's a really good person with staying with the same organization. And I think he should definitely deserve to be a top 10 pitcher of all time in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, with that, we appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight. I know it was a bit of a rough stream because we're still having some issues getting things going, but trust me, the streams will continue to get better and better as we go on. But thank you for sticking around with us. Thank you, Sammy, for co-hosting with me tonight. And as we wrap up, just kind of changing sports, I guess, here. I have a Liverpool jersey in my background. I'm a huge Liverpool fan, and I'm just gutted with the loss of Diogo Jota this morning, who was star striker for both Liverpool and Portugal, and he passed away in Spain this morning, far too young. And he will forever be a player that will be memorialized by Liverpool. No one will ever wear 20 again, so I'm just going to put up a screen here as we wrap up this live stream. Thank you, Sammy, again for joining.